Coffee from supermarkets is available at bargain prices. How do supermarkets manage to offer such cheap coffee? What is actually in it, and can such coffees be produced fairly? One thing is certain. If supermarkets make only a slight improvement, it's a lot. Let's look into it. Hi, my name is Philip and I'm from Kaffeemacher in Switzerland. We are a coffee school and a coffee roasting company and share our coffee knowledge. Sometimes people ask if we could test supermarket coffees. No, we don't do that because it would be too easy. Pointing fingers at the big players wouldn't be helpful for anyone. However, what we can do is attempt to contextualize the coffees found in supermarkets. Why are they often ridiculously cheap? Why do many taste the same, and whether anyone still profits from them? But on the other hand, supermarket coffees can make a positive change, big time. So let's discuss some things. What is the purpose of supermarket coffee? Why are the coffees often so inexpensive? And what potential do supermarkets have that few others possess? Let's start with the purpose of coffee in supermarkets. Coffee lends itself to lure people into the stores. Coffee in supermarkets is often for sale in bulk packs during fixed promotional periods that have been planned in advance. It should come as little surprise that many supermarket coffees have a similar taste. There are primarily two reasons for this. Firstly, a large quantity of coffee is needed that consistently tastes the same. This limits the selection of origin countries for the green coffee beans. Secondly, and as a consequence, coffees with more distinctive flavors are rarely found in supermarkets because they are rarer and, above all, more expensive. And who would be at ease to roast a 86 points coffee on a 400 kilo roasting machine and even bigger? The larger a coffee brand is, the less distinct its taste tends to be. A brand must maintain its promise of a consistent taste, and that is achieved through using similar coffees with a similar composition. The cheaper the coffees become, the poorer their quality. Coffee is one of the few products that genuinely taste worse as the price decreases. Expensive coffees do not necessarily have to taste better, but they have the potential to be much better. This is where sensory analysis is needed to differentiate between a good coffee and well-intentioned marketing. Inexpensive coffees that taste like coffee certainly have their place. Not everyone wants coffees that have an extremely aromatic aroma and taste like anything but coffee. However, expectations for sensory delights should not be set too high when it comes to inexpensive coffees. Quality in coffee comes at a cost. So what's in supermarket coffees? Almost always the same coffees. While I haven't tried nearly all supermarket coffees, it may sound daring to make such a statement. Why do I make it anyways? Because of the price and the target customers that a supermarket aims for. Supermarket coffees are usually blends, meaning they are mixtures. These blends help smooth out sensory, pricing and logistical fluctuations. It's not that many different green coffees bring various flavors to the supermarket blend. No, they bring stability and they lower the price. Supermarket coffees are stable in terms of price and taste. Therefore, it requires coffees that can meet these exact requirements, and as a result, many come from regions with high production volumes, where a significant portion of the production is mechanized and post-harvest processes are extremely efficient. These are primarily Arabicas from Brazil, Honduras, Peru and Colombia, as well as Robustas from Vietnam, West Africa and Tanzania. The standard qualities from these origins are available in large volumes and fulfill most of the purposes that supermarket coffee aims to achieve. But why are some of the coffees in the supermarket more expensive? It's mostly about strengthening the brand rather than drastic differences in the quality of the green coffee. Supermarkets need different segments to cater to different customers. The good thing is that someone who purchases the premium range coffee is unlikely to buy coffee from the discount line. So the shopping cart rarely contains the most expensive and the cheapest coffee at the same time. And that is a huge advantage for a supermarket. The difference in the blend or even in taste doesn't necessarily have to be significant. A lighter or darker roast might already make a difference. And of course the packaging, which comes in various designs, names and emotions. The premium products are at eye level or buy level, as they say, the mid-range segment at waist level and the discount goods at knee level. Take a closer look at the coffee shelves during your next supermarket visit. They are full of simple psychological tricks. So, why are coffees in supermarkets so inexpensive? Primarily because supermarket coffees are produced in large quantities. Economies of scale and efficiency in roasting, packaging, logistics and storage lead to lower prices that can be passed on to consumers. Large roasteries are always much more efficient than smaller ones and medium-sized ones when it comes to personnel costs. The green coffee itself accounts for a small part of the final cost breakdown of supermarket coffees. And then there are the affordable green coffees. Green coffees are purchased in large quantities for supermarket coffees. This requires a roastery, which usually has a trader and or a buyer who organizes the coffees for the roastery. And because the food industry is a low-margin industry, volume matters here. More volume means more margin. So these volume deals are also interesting for trading houses, so they often offer very good prices to large roasteries. At the same time, this is also interesting for large coffee producers, such as very large coffee cooperatives. More volume is sold at a smaller margin, but the margin is made up for by the large quantity. This is purchasing power. Those who buy a lot are in demand, but do supermarkets and their associated roasteries pay enough for green coffee? Some very well do, some maybe don't. It would be best to ask customer service about the prices paid for the green coffees in a specific blend in the supermarket. That would likely trigger an interesting discussion if supermarkets were willing to disclose their purchase prices. However, there is silence on this matter. There are reasons for it, not only from supermarkets but also from the vast majority of coffee roasters. Transparency Coffee tries to counter this by inviting the disclosure of green coffee prices. And does it hurt? No. It starts a discussion, and that is good. That's why we also publish our purchase prices. More discussion is needed here. Which brings me to this. Are low prices for coffee reasonable? Counter question, for whom? For those who are buying? Yes. And for everyone else along the coffee chain? For those who produce, supply, sort, carry, transport and stock the coffee? That remains to be answered, but hardly. In general, and not just for coffee, but for all food products in particular, someone pays if we don't. The message that coffee must be cheap is false. Coffee should cost something because all the work behind costs something. If coffee is inexpensive, it is not a sustainable approach. And here, supermarkets have a great opportunity to change things for the better, because they have leverage. The market power of supermarket coffee is massive. The coffee market for roasted coffee is highly consolidated, as shown by the impressive graphic on the Hivos Coffee Barometer. The top 10 roasteries in the world roast at least 35% of the coffee, which is primarily sold in supermarkets. And what exactly does this power consist of, besides the ability to push prices down and make responsibilities difficult to trace? The powerful freedom of substitution. To replace coffees when they become too expensive. Blends, which we discussed earlier, allow a roastery to bring financial stability in addition to sensory stability. If one coffee of the blend becomes much more expensive, it can be replaced with one that is similar in sensory profile. It is pretty standard that recipes of big blends change. There is a logic behind it, but do not forget the entire chain of effects is massive. All the effects are far away and not noticeable, or in this case not discernible in taste. If several containers of a coffee, let's say from Honduras, is substituted, it has an effect on everyone involved in production and export. And here lies the great opportunity for supermarket coffee to do things better. Let's imagine that a roastery which roasts 50,000 tons of coffee annually imports approximately 3,000 shipping containers of coffee each year. A cooperative in Honduras may produce around 5 containers per year, and one of them goes to the aforementioned roastery. That would be 20% of the cooperative's volume, or 0.03% of the roastery's roasted volume. It's almost nothing for the roastery and a lot for the cooperative. If the supermarket decides to price, market and pay for this coffee in this container differently, it has a huge impact on the producers. And it's a low-hanging fruit for the supermarket to treat this coffee differently and promote it differently. Now, there are, albeit on a very small scale, supermarkets that choose such approaches. These projects should be supported. But inform yourselves, ask questions, be critical. The long-term viability of these projects, as the name suggests, remains to be seen. You can find various examples online of supermarkets that are writing their own story in coffee. This often applies to only a fraction of their coffee assortment, but it's a start. And it would be proof that market power can also be used positively. Thanks for watching and see you next time.